Hello, I'm Kari Kelso, Senior Data Analyst with VSP's Provider Information Intelligence team, and I'd like to welcome you to our first SAS Professional Development Share. I'm using video technology for two reasons. One, we can use this for other training purposes, and two, it makes use of three ways adults learn, through auditory means, visual cues, and also a walkthrough step-by-step example that someone can follow for a hands-on tutorial. Today's SAS topic is about aliases and abbreviations. I wanted to begin by sharing how this topic came about so you can see how the two are connected and at times confusing. Last week when I was learning ad hoc reporting with Linda and also with Gail on the Network Early Warning Project, something really came together. Gail had written some SAS code to extract data from Netminder with some modifications specific for our topic. But during the same week I learned a lot about Netminder from Linda, realizing that she extracts data from Netminder through a similar SAS program and sends it to our vendor twice a year. As I was typing up my notes from these two learnings, I was researching the SAS term alias, because both codes make use of this in their proc SQL step. Here is an example from the proc SQL Netminder code from Gail from this past week. What I want you to notice is that the H is essentially an abbreviation for the SCF Doctor History Table, but SAS calls this an alias. An alias is a convenient syntactical shortcut like a nickname for a table. An alias can be handy for reducing a long, complex name to something simple to remember and type. I mention this because I thought an alias was an abbreviation, because a lone H, or the DR for doctor, reminds me of an abbreviation that SAS refers to an abbreviation much differently, and I wanted to share this with you. When we're talking about abbreviations, the easiest definition to remember is it can be thought of as pasted code. Oftentimes I hear in my cubicle someone talking about a data project, and someone typically shouts out over the cube wall, "I've got code for that." Or I hear, "Check with Lonnie or Gail for code because they might have something." But the challenge for me as the newest member of the PI team is locating the right code for the right project. Right now we have a large amount of code on the Z drive, but as you know, we have more located in separate project folders, and I would suspect even more in our C drives. And this leads me to our topic today, using abbreviations to help us as a team. Some of you might already be using this SAS technique, so this video might just serve as a reminder of this helpful tool in our work. Let's begin by talking about the benefits of abbreviations. What I like about using abbreviations is that they support a naturally occurring practice of reusing code. The "I've got code for that" comment I hear in the cubicle becomes "I've got code for that, I know where to look for it, and I can use it more easily." So abbreviations essentially better documents what we do, which contributes and builds onto the SAS coding reference document that the team has already started, adding a whole new level of organization. If we choose to agree on team abbreviations, we can export one file of our abbreviations to our code reference folder. And then those of you who would like to use the feature can import it, saving us time and energy from individually cutting and pasting code. Linda suggested that we could use the SAS coding reference document as a great place to start for our abbreviation library. But honestly, I don't need to sell you on the benefits of abbreviations, because all of us are using some variation of abbreviations, even if we don't all call it the same thing. I know this because of the large use of SAS aliases we make use of in our code, and we all have individual shortcuts, macros, and go-to guides that serve our needs as specialists and analysts. So think of this as just another tool in our tool belt. Another way is to just use code that is either so routine, such as abbreviating just the header, since we all know this, it is best practice to include one in our code. Or likewise, you could do the opposite, is also true. You could just abbreviate those codes which we use less often, or that have more complex coding steps. The Netminder extract that Linda does twice a year is a good candidate for abbreviation, since it falls into the category of both being a routine code, but since it's only used twice a year, it would not necessarily be one that is essentially memorized. So as such, an abbreviation would be quite helpful. So one of the challenges for me is remembering the sequence of steps, not to mention the punctuation. And also, as the newest member of the team, I have difficulty knowing what code is used often and what code is rarely used. So as necessity is the mother of invention, abbreviations, if anything, probably will help the newest member of the PI team most. Me. Let's go over the steps for an abbreviation. The first step is we create the abbreviation from the Tools menu, clicking Add Abbreviation. The second step is that we invoke the abbreviation, which to me always sounds a little bit like magic, and to some extent it is, because what's going to happen is that you will type your abbreviation name and a box will come up that will indicate that it is present. And the third and final step is to accept the abbreviation by clicking Tab or Enter. Before we get to our example, I want to go over a few notes about using abbreviations that might not be readily apparent. Abbreviations are case sensitive, which is actually very helpful because our more advanced SAS users on the team may not want these popping up in their editor window, whereas I would find them more helpful. When the abbreviation pops up, just as I mentioned in the previous slide, you either hit Tab or Enter to bring up the full code and snippet that you have copied. Now, if you didn't want to see the abbreviation, no worries. Just hit any other key such as the space bar, or if you know you didn't want to see it to begin with, just change the case when you type it since it is case sensitive. Now let's walk through an example and see if this all makes sense. Open SAS and click the File menu and navigate to the program you want to copy. Our program is located on the Z drive under Netminder and then under Programs. Once we've located the program, we want to open it with Notepad. Now we will go ahead and click the Edit menu, select All, and then Copy. And then we will go ahead and close our Word Notepad program. Now back in SAS, under the Tools menu, select Add Abbreviation. This is where we are going to paste our code and name our abbreviation. In this example, I named it Netminder Extract VSP Choik to mirror Linda's naming convention. Later on, if we want to, we can go ahead and change it. And then click OK. Now we want to go ahead and test it by doing an invoke, meaning we're going to type our created abbreviation name in the SAS Enhance Editor window and then hit either Tab or Enter. And here is your code ready for editing. In closing, I've added an additional resource about SAS abbreviations in the PAR folder under Code Reference under SAS Training Resources. This will also be the repository for the SAS annotated learning examples from my training with Linda and Gail. There is a consulting company called Data Means that has a predefined abbreviation file that anyone can import. If you load all their files as your abbreviations, you will have approximately 150 files. But if you want to add any files, you will need to go ahead and delete one or two. Their website is www.datameans.com. I would like to thank Linda and Gail for providing me the code and learning about Netminder, and I would like to invite Vernon to help provide some of his video expertise on this in future tutorials. This is Kari Kelso saying, may you have a SAS error-free programming day. Thank you.